Hello everyone, welcome to Sunya IAS. This is your ongoing series on NCRTs, and we are discussing the history section, the modern history section, isn't it? So, we have already done the starting phases, that is, let me revise a bit what we have done till now. So, we have basically done a huge chunk of things, right from starting from uh, disintegration of Mughal Empire. Okay, disintegration of Mughal Empire. Then after that, we looked into the European settlements in India, how they evolved. Okay, European settlements in India. And then we talked about the life in 18th century India. Okay, then we moved on, conquest of India by Britishers. Okay, conquest of India by Britishers, or by East India Company, I should say, British East India Company. And in this, we talked about, in this section, we talked about how the Britishers took over Bengal, how they took over Mysore. In the chapter on the 18th century India itself and the above one, we also discussed about the Carnatic, how the Carnatic ended up in the hands of Britishers. Okay, so we discussed those things over there. Now what we have to discuss is about Mysore we have done. So Marathas and what happened in Punjab. So these are things we have to discuss as per the NCRT. What happened with the Marathas and what happened within the Punjab. Now, here let me make sure few things you should know is, while before moving to Marathas and Punjab, that there are few more things, few more. There were very many other royalties, monarchies. For example, there was a monarchy in Myanmar. Okay, what we now call as Myanmar, back it was called as Burma. Then Afghanistan. Okay, then Sindh. Okay, now what happened in these places are also important. It's not like they are not important, but or what happened with the Nepal. Okay, or what happened with Bhutan, or what happened with Tibet. Okay, these are also important, that how Britishers evolved relations with them. But in NCRT, not much importance has been given to them in this chapter. So we'll be skipping them here. I'll try to cover whatever topics in the manner in which it has been given, the specific information about Nepal or Bhutan or Tibet, whatever it is given in NCRT, as and when they will be in the chapters, I will be covering it. If you refer to any other book, whether you are referring to Spectrum or any book other, okay, BL Grover or Spectrum or any other standard book, you will find these topics are also covered. Okay, and usually in foundation batches, full-fledged foundation batches, we cover this book, chapters, this section also. Since this is specifically oriented towards NCRT oriented classes, so we'll be leaving it here itself. Okay, so let's begin. Let's try to finish off Marathas and Punjab as soon as possible. Okay, so okay, fine. So Maratha Empire is the thing at hand right now. Let's start with the, let's go move to the Maratha Empire directly first of all. These are Mysore and these are Mysore, and Mysore has been discussed already in detail. Okay, let's come to the Marathas. Okay, now few of the things which I'm going to teach here, you will find it in your medieval history book and not in the modern history book. Okay, because a few things, since modern history starts from 1707 with the demise of Aurangzeb. Okay, but a huge amount of things has happened with Marathas before dying of Aurangzeb, because Aurangzeb played a very important character in the whole story of Marathas. He was the arch villain if you see it from the Maratha side of the story. So let me first tell you that where these Marathas came from. This Maratha Empire, which reached its pinnacle, two kind of pinnacles they have reached. Once was the territorial reach, which was maximum in 1760, but the authority wise, okay, was the time when Shivaji got coronated, and immediately after it when he started expanding the Maratha Empire. So all the utilizing will be done for Shivaji for his time period of 1674 and 1680, although the real growth of the territorial gain came in the 18th century. Okay, so first of all, one need to understand where these people, the Marathas, came in from. Okay, who were these people, who were they came in from, what they were doing when there was no Maratha Empire. So these are certain things which are there in your medieval history but let me explain this here to give you a basic idea where these people came from. Okay, so if you see this map is from the 1605, the map on the left of the screen. Okay, this map is from the 1605. Back in 1605, that is the first decade of the 17th century, when the year when Akbar died. Okay, at that time Mughal Empire ended and before starting in Deccan. So you can see that the Mughal Empire, the border of the Mughal Empire ended just next to the Ahmednagar, and then started the Bijapur dynasty. Okay, this is the same Bijapur dynasty from whom Goa was taken by the Portuguese, okay, in 1510. So you can see the Goa is separate. Okay, so in this Bijapuri, there were three, at that time there were dynasties: Bijapuri dynasty, Golconda, okay, Ahmednagar had its separate presence, okay, and then polygars were there. Okay, these polygars later on played an important role in Mysore. I have explained this thing. These were the polygar Jamidar only in 1790s, whose doings or misdoings led to the starting of the Third Anglo-Mysore War, and that has already been explained. So this Bijapur dynasty, this Golconda, this Ahmednagar, all these places are very important. And these Marathas, the family, okay, the family of Mahoji, okay, and other people, all these people were actually working as a nobleman in the court of Bijapur dynasty, and few of the Maratha Sardars were also associated with the Ahmednagar dynasty. Okay, the story starts from here. Initially, Marathas were fiduciaries in Deccan to the Third Battle of Panipat. That is the one section of the Maratha story. Okay, from the starting of the 17th century till 1760. Okay, from the 1640, 1650 till 1760, what happened with the Marathas? That is one section of the Maratha Empire, and that is mostly covered in a single go. We'll just finish it here itself. Fiduciaries in Deccan to Third Battle of Panipat, and then aftermath of Panipat, how the Marathas rose again, reached another pinnacle in 1772 when they took the Mughal Badshah Shah Alam II from the fort in Allahabad and took him back to where? Delhi, and controlled Delhi till 1803, till the final loss and demise of Maratha Peshwa Shahi in 1818. That happened with Battle of Bhima Koregaon. So this Maratha Empire, which was called as the Maratha Swaraj, existed in two ways. The story starts from being a fiduciary in the Deccan. What is fiduciary in a Deccan? Means small time noblemen. Small time noblemen means they were the tax collector, they were senior officers, not only in Bijapur but in Ahmednagar, in Bijapur. Okay, all these medieval Deccan sultanates employed the Marathas in their armed forces, in their accounts department, in their even, for example, Peshwa Shahi existed back then also. Back in those time in Ahmednagar, in Bijapur, the Peshwa used to be the chief diplomat of the state. Okay, the Peshwa used to be the chief diplomat of the state. So these words were already existent in those times also. So that is where they started from. Let me tell you where the whole chronology started, and this chronology will help you a lot. Okay, because again, this thing is something will come like this. Okay, this whole thing is something which need to be explained in a manner so that you will be able to remember these things. Okay, so what happened? Initial thing, that how Shivaji's family ended up in Pune and all is something which will be covered in your medieval history portion. Okay, how Shivaji's grandfather used to work for the Ahmednagar Sultanate, and from there he for a time being aligned himself with the Shah Jahan. Okay, and went against Malik Ambar. Okay, this story is for another day. This will be covered in your medieval history classes, and that's why I'm not covering it here. Okay, but keep this in mind. Okay, that the story of Shivaji doesn't really start with Shivaji himself. The story starts in the court of Malik Ambar. Okay, Malik Ambar, the only Abyssinian Sultan in India's medieval history. Abyssinian Sultan. Okay, a man who was brought to India as a slave and then he rose to become a Sultan himself. Okay, so what happened with Malik Ambar? How people from Shivaji's family, and I'm specifically I'm not going to mention about Shahji or Sharifji and his father and those things are not required right now. Those things are part of medieval history. All you need to know is Shivaji's family was given initially, they belong to the region near Pune. Okay, they belong to the region near Pune. They had their village over there, but they were given the Mansabdari of Pune by Shah Jahan only. Okay, Shivaji's grandfather was given the Mansabdari of Pune by Shah Jahan, the Mughal Shahanshah, in the hope of that he will align with Shah Jahan, and then with the help of Shah Jahan, he will remove Malik Ambar, who was not ready to follow the commands of Shah Jahan. Okay, although Malik Ambar died in between, and then Malik Ambar's son was more than happy to accept the sovereignty of Shah Jahan, and so Shah Jahan no more needed, okay, Shivaji's family, okay, to maintain his command on Deccan. And so Shah Jahan declared that this Mansabdari of Pune will be taken away from them. Now this will be unacceptable because this time when they have to leave, they will not only have to leave the Mansabdar position but also their own village, and that's where the whole struggle started. Now Shivaji's father, okay, Shahji, went into hiding. Okay, he had another wife, but Shivaji started living in the village only with his mother. Okay, and there were a few other people to help him out. By the time of 1617, Shivaji started looting Bijapur's fort. Okay, Bijapur Sultanate was there, and Bijapur Sultanate has a lot of forts, okay, along the Konkan in the hill area. If you go even now between Mumbai and Pune, there are a lot of forts in between. All those forts were made by Bijapur Sultanate. So those forts, Shivaji started taking over one fort after another. Okay, and very soon he had this own people who were helping him to take over forts one by one, and you will see that soon Shivaji will be able to take over a lot of area, okay, and so much so that by 1650s he was very much visible. In 1654, 1655, 1656, he was very much visible. Not only the Bijapuri Sultanate, not only the Ahmednagar Sultanate, but also the Mughals were knowing that there is this some guy, his name is Shivaji, he has his band of people who are getting from fort to fort and taking it over. Okay, at that time the Mughals in 1655-56, the Subedar of Mughals of Deccan, or what they called as Khandesh. Okay, Khandesh, okay, was Aurangzeb. Okay, so before becoming the emperor of Mughal Sultanate in 1658, Aurangzeb acted as the Subedar of Deccan, specifically Khandesh and nearby region. And while remaining as Subedar also, he tried to expand as much as possible into the Deccan region. Okay, so Aurangzeb is here. Okay, now all Shivaji at this moment wanted was to get close to the Mughals and actually to land up a job in the court of Mughals. Okay, but when he tried to approach the Mughals didn't give him much importance. They're like, हाँ ठीक है, leave it. Okay, then what happened next? At this time only, Shivaji then planned, because he was attacking Bijapur only, but then at this moment, Bijapur Sultanate approached him, okay, in 1658, that ally with them and attack Mughals. So there are three parties at this time: Mughals, Bijapur, and Shivaji. Shivaji is loner with his own band of people. Okay, Shivaji, because Mughals were not giving him any importance, he aligned with the Bijapur, and aligned with Bijapur, he attacked once even the base camp of Aurangzeb while Aurangzeb was there. Aurangzeb had to escape for his life and he ran away. That happened. There was very high possibility that Aurangzeb will retaliate, but what happened at this very time only, there was a news all around that Shah Jahan has died. Although Shah Jahan was not dead, but there was a news that Shah Jahan has died and the power will move in the hands of his elder son, Dara Sikho. This was unacceptable to Aurangzeb, and then Aurangzeb moved towards Delhi to take the throne for himself. Now, since Aurangzeb was busy in Delhi and fighting three of his other brothers, so because of this, Aurangzeb was not able to retaliate against Shivaji. Shivaji used this opportunity and started building his base even bigger. And when Mughals left, or Aurangzeb left specifically, there was a void for some time period. Shivaji started taking over more and more forts. Okay, and therefore you will see, okay, that Shivaji took over first the fort of Toran, and then Purandar. This fort of Purandar is very important. Okay, again and again, whether you will read about the Maratha history or even the history of Deccan, so fort of Purandar is always considered a very important center. Whoever controls fort of Purandar actually used to control the Konkan region. Okay, so he took over in 1646-48, somewhere in between. Okay, there are other different figures. Some lineup says that Shivaji was born in 1630, some says that he was born in 1628. There is no perfect record for his birth date. Okay, then in 1759, Shivaji, what happened in after 1758? Okay, not 1758, 1658. This date is wrong. Okay, give me a moment, everyone. We'll do it like this. 1759 is just too late for Shivaji to even exist. Okay, so we will put it. Remember, Shivaji was in 1600s. Okay, he was a ruler of 17th century, not the 18th century. Okay, so Shivaji was there in 1659, not 1759. Okay, so what happened here, understand, is something very important, that Shivaji, after 1658, he started taking over again the areas of Bijapur. When he started taking over the areas of Bijapur, Bijapur Sultanate sent one of their most important and prominent general. His name was Afzal Khan. Okay, there is a very famous poem in Marathi called as Afzal Khan Chavad. Okay, and you need to remember that, not the whole poem, but just the name, that there is such a thing. Okay, so Shivaji killed Afzal Khan, and this famous in Bijapur fort, there is a famous thing that he has this weaponry which he used to actually cross out the whole body of Afzal Khan while hugging him, because Afzal Khan was trying to kill him. He was a 7 foot tall guy, and all that story is there. पढ़ लेना, poem है, अच्छी poem है, पढ़ लेना. So he killed Afzal Khan, and after killing Afzal Khan, वो जैसे वसेपुर में there was a whole Faisal Khan vibes, that okay, he is just too capable. That became of Shivaji. Okay, now Next, what happened? Shivaji needed money. More and more money he need, because okay, fine, you have territory, but now with territory you need money to have run the administration over there. So what is there? He decided very soon in 1660s that he will ask for chauth from the nearby trading centers. Surat was the most important trading center. You have already been taught that in the Mughal Empire, Surat played a very important role. There was a trading center. So he asked the city of Surat to pay him chauth. What is chauth? Chauth is a kind of a security deposit. Okay, हफ्ता मान लीजिए. Chauth, for those who don't know, chauth को समझ लीजिए थोड़ा सा. Chauth and Sardeshmukhi, these are two different kind of chauth. Sardeshmukhi. Okay. Whatever revenue is collected, okay, whatever revenue is collected by 4, okay, that has to be given to the Marathas. Otherwise, Marathas will attack you and take everything of yours. Okay. Now, with Sardeshmukhi, there are different various ideas, but it is said the most basic is Sardeshmukhi was kind of a surcharge. Okay. So, whatever this chauth amount is, 10% of that, okay, was called as Sardeshmukhi. This has to be levied extra. Okay. This has to be levied extra. Okay. So, this was done. This is the kind of taxation system which Shivaji evolved not for his own kingdom, his own territory, but the nearby neighboring states, that if you want us to make sure that we don't attack you, pay us this money. So he demanded chauth from the city of Surat. Okay, Surat, which was a trading town of Mughals. City of Surat city said, nahi pay karenge, we are not going to pay you anything. When they said that they are not going to pay anything, then Shivaji sacked the city of Surat. Okay, he sacked the city of Surat in 1664. This was something which again brought Shivaji in limelight, because Aurangzeb by this time has moved to Delhi and he has many other issues. He is the Mughal Bajirao. So now he was reminded, Arey, that guy, you remember 6 saal pehle you were there in Deccan and someone actually invaded the area. Yeah, that guy has now taken over, sacked the city of Surat. So then he decided that something needs to be done. So you will see that he will send his officer and Jaising and first he sent Shaista Khan. Shaista Khan was sent, but whole story is there that is not written here. But first he sent his officer Shaista Khan, who came with a Mughal army, and they entered the Pune city. All the Maratha people was actually kicked out, booted out of the Pune city. It was taken over by the Marathas, and then Shivaji and his band of people took a get up of a groom's possession, that is Barat mein ghus ke aaye, or how late in the night they entered the fort, and then Shaista Khan's son was killed. Shaista Khan has to run for his life, and Aurangzeb was so upset that Shaista Khan was not able to control Pune city, that he abandoned him for a time being, and then transferred him from the governorship of Pune and nearby region to governorship of Bengal. And then Aurangzeb understood that one more thing is needed. Shaista Khan was a Muslim. Shivaji by this time has started talking about the local culture, the Hinduism and those things, and Aurangzeb understood that if a Muslim representative, Muslim general goes to fight on Shivaji, it will become a Hindu-Muslim divide, and that will be bad for him, because ultimately, effectively, the majority of people who were working on the ground for Mughal Empire, they were also Hindus. So in these circumstances, Aurangzeb sent Jaising, the ruler of Amber. Okay, so he was sent, and a new battle was fought. This time Shivaji lost. This is called as Battle of Purandar. In the Battle of Purandar, you will see Shivaji lost and a treaty was signed. Okay, in 1665. Okay, what was decided? Again, I'm trying to explain this thing here. Okay, you will be given, you have to go through your NCERT booklet, and for the pointers in detail, but explanation wise it is required. So it was decided that by this time Shivaji has taken over 23 forts. So it was decided that out of those 23 forts, 21 forts will be taken over by, will be handed over to the Mughals. Okay. So all these Purandar fort and all the other forts which Shivaji has taken over in the past 9 years were actually taken away from him. Although the Mughal representative saw the capability of Shivaji and they told him that why you are fighting like this? You should approach Aurangzeb himself, and since you are such a master skill set of fighting, Aurangzeb will provide you a job. Okay, why you are fighting Mughals? Mughals anyway are not going, you are not going to defeat Mughals in a single day, but aligning with Mughals will be beneficial for you. Shivaji also understood this thing, and you remember Shivaji in the initial days actually wanted to work with Aurangzeb only. So a conversation channel was open. Even Aurangzeb sent 2 lakh rupees. Why? For the upkeep of the people who, then it was decided that Shivaji and his son, and few other people will go to Agra to meet Aurangzeb. So 2 lakh rupees was sent for this purpose. Shivaji then went to Agra to meet Aurangzeb. Okay. Before that itself, it was decided that Shivaji's son will be made if the treaty will be done. Shivaji's son Sambhaji will be made a Mansabdar of 5,000 jat. Okay, and I have told you that in the time of Akbar, 5,000 jat Mansabdari was the biggest anyone can get. By the time of Aurangzeb, the biggest Mansabdari was 7,500. The rank, the jat. So Shivaji's son was already made 5,000 jat Mansabdar. So Shivaji was very happy that my son has already been made a 5,000 jat Mansabdar. Surely when I will go, I will get something like a 7,500, or maybe I'll also get the Subedari of the region. So he went to the Agra court, and it is, the story goes, this story which I am telling you is not written in your book, but it goes like that when he went there, he was not given much importance, and he was made to stand on the backside along with the other Mansabdars who were 5,000 jat while Aurangzeb was dethroned. Okay, when he was sitting on the throne, he was made to stand in the back. This is something he didn't like, and he started shouting in the Aurangzeb's court itself. Aurangzeb saw and had this grimmish look on his face that who is this guy? So someone came from the side and said, "Sir, आप please बाहर आ जाइए, issue create हो जाएगा. औरंगजेब के सामने आप ऐसे चिल्ला नहीं सकते." So he was taken out. Then he was made to wait at the house of Jai Singh. Okay, over there he was staying. And you will get to know that while he was staying, very soon he realized that he has been sent fruits and all these gifts from Aurangzeb, but Aurangzeb never came to meet him. 1 day went on, 2 days went by, 3 days went by. Aurangzeb never came to meet him, but always he used to send gifts. So he realized basically what Aurangzeb had done. Aurangzeb has taken him prisoner. Okay, he was living in a good house. His son and him, both of them were living in a good house. But they were actually have been taken prisoners. They were not allowed to go anywhere, and even the king was not coming to meet them. So what the hell he was doing in Agra? He was just taken prisoner out of nowhere. So then what he did, this is again part of the Maratha folklore, that the very big boxes in which fruits used to come. Shivaji hid himself inside one of such box and went out, and then he was gone. So he escaped this whole imprisonment of Aurangzeb, although his son was still there only. Okay, so he left his son, he escaped from there, and instead of going directly from Agra to Pune, which was a direct route, okay, from north to south, he went first to Banaras and then went to Puri in Odisha, present day Odisha, and then came to Pune. He took this alternative route, so making sure that the Mughal army will not be able to catch him. Okay, there was a whole fiasco in Agra that how he could have escaped. Okay, few people were actually jailed for that too. But in 1666, he finally landed back in Pune. So 1666, Shivaji got arrested and fled from Agra. Okay, in 16, then it took a year for him to come back and reach to Pune. Once he reached back Pune, then he restarted the whole endeavor again. He restarted the whole endeavor again. Okay. 1670, and what is the endeavor? taking over forts one by one. By 1670, you see Shivaji regathered and attacked Surat once again. He was allotted Chauth this time because by this time he was much more powerful. So Surat decided, the traders there decided, give him that money, otherwise he'll keep on attacking us. So he was allotted the Chauth. Once he had this money, he used it in 1674 to coronate himself. Oh, okay. Now in Raigarh fort, a whole big coronation ceremony was organized. Shivaji was declared as the Chhatrapati. Okay, this Chhatrapati's title came from here. Okay, Shivaji was declared Chhatrapati, and I'll tell you this also. Look, there is this casteism also played a very important part. So in 1674, at the fort of Raigarh, okay, fort of Raigarh, this whole coronation ceremony took place. In this coronation ceremony, okay, ताजपोशी जिसको आप कहते हैं, okay, coronation ceremony, Shivaji was enthroned as the Chhatrapati. A Brahmin, a Pandit, a priest, Gaga Bhatt, okay, not Lady Gaga. Gaga Bhatt, although, was called from Banaras, and Gaga Bhatt, actually it was, they spent more than 50 lakh rupees just on this coronation ceremony back then. They paid Gaga Bhatt, and what Gaga Bhatt did, look, there was always an issue, and I don't know why this was such a thing, but yeah, there was a lot of time when people used to say that Shivaji didn't belong to Rajput clan. Okay, because he had this, all these his supporters. Initially he stayed so long into the forest and all that he was not considered for part of Rajput clan. Then a lot of people also they told him that he has killed a lot of Brahmins, and then the whole casteist system, that say Brahmahatya, Mahapap and all that. So Gaga Bhatt conducted a specific puja for him, so making sure that not only they somehow got some papers which stated that no, he is a Kshatriya, okay, and he is Brahmahatya dosh was also removed, and then he became the Chhatrapati Shivaji. And he also declared the territory which was under his control was from then onwards called as Maratha Swaraj. Maratha Swaraj. And always remember, this Maratha Swaraj will become very important. When we'll talk about revolt of 1857, when we will talk about Jhansi ki Rani, you will see that in the initial phase of 1857 revolt, the fighters were fighting in the name of Bahadur Shah Zafar, the last Mughal emperor. But when Jhansi ki Rani, okay, Lakshmi Bai started fighting in Jhansi in 1858, and along with Tatya Tope, their claim was not the Mughal empire. They were not fighting for that. They were actually fighting for this Maratha Swaraj. So this name Maratha Swaraj will again and again come in prominence. Then Swaraj will later on appropriated by Gandhiji. So that will also be discussed. But the first origin is here. Okay. So in 1674, they came up with this idea of Maratha Swaraj. A new kingdom was now established. Look, establishing a kingdom is not that easy. Okay. So this is done. Now when we have discussed about Maratha Swaraj, then we also need to discuss about how the things were working there. Okay, who was powerful, how the system was running there, that is also important. So let's proceed with that. If we are discussing about the Maratha administrative system under Shivaji. Now this is a chart which I'll make sure that you will get a separate copy of this, okay, so that you don't have to face any difficulty in understanding this. Maratha administration system under Shivaji. Now this is very, very important, because in the later times, you will see after 1713, okay, the importance of Chhatrapati will reduce and the importance of Peshwas, the prime ministers, will increase. So over there, that the pattern of administration, who is at the helm of affair, will also change. So we'll talk about it later. But over here, you need to understand that Chhatrapati was Shivaji himself, okay, and he was the leader of the group of ministers. The group of ministers actually reported to him. So just like we have a cabinet right now, back then there was a Ashtadhyayi. Okay, Asht means 8, Ashtadhyayi means the group of 8 ministers. Now who are these 8 ministers? You had a Mantri, Vaknis, okay, he was a personal advisor to the king. Then there was a Sachiv, okay, minister who was Minister of Finance. Then there was a Amatya minister, Minister of Revenue. Then Peshwa, Prime Minister was there, and this Peshwa later on became the most important. Okay, at the time of Chhatrapati, he was not that important. Then there was Senapati, the commander-in-chief. Then there was Sumant, that is the foreign minister. Pandit Rao was the minister of charities and everything else, priestly stuff. And then the Nyayadhish, minister of justice. Okay, all these people ultimately reported to the Chhatrapati himself. Now, beyond this, there was an office called as Huzur Daftar. Okay, Fitness and Huzur Daftar. These were the secretariat, which were the office of Chhatrapati himself. Okay, this Huzur Daftar is very important because many a time I have seen whenever reading about the Peshwas, look, students get confused between the Huzur Daftar and the Peshwa Daftar. Okay, Huzur Daftar. Huzur Daftar was the initial name given to the office of Chhatrapati. Okay, and Peshwa Daftar was the name of the office of Peshwa, that is the Prime Minister. Okay. Now, in the initial phase, since Peshwa also worked from the fort of Raigad only in the time of Shivaji. Okay, so everyone was working from Huzur Daftar only. Later in the 18th century, you will see when Peshwa Shahi becomes more important, okay, the Peshwa Daftar will shift to Pune. Okay, in the new fort of Peshwa called as Shaniwar Wada. Okay, even it's there even now. Later on in 1790s, okay, the Peshwa Daftar was further removed from outside of Shaniwar Wada, and it's there right now in the Pune city itself, outside Shaniwar Wada, and that building is pretty new. That is actually a 19th century building. Okay, वो आर्ट एंड कल्चर में करेंगे, उसके लिए परेशान मत होइए, लेकिन ये डिफरेंशिएशन समझ लीजिए बस. Okay, now after this, you will see that the king's advisor and the minister of finance, they also handled the issues of governors of the major divisions. Okay, so there was a Subedar of southeast. Okay, they started calling the different direction and different names. Okay, different taraf in Hindi is taraf ya us taraf. That taraf was used for giving the direction. So there was a Subedar of southeast. Okay, and with the Subedar there was a connected finance minister on the local level. He was called as Diwan. There was similarly a Subedar of southwest. With him there was a Diwan, and there was a Subedar of the north, and with him there was a Diwan. Okay, all these people reported to 3 ministers. Who are these ministers? The direct advisor to the Chhatrapati, the minister of finance, and the Peshwa. Okay, now beyond this there were separate governors called as Subedar. Okay, they were 5 to 7 of the territories of the Mughlai. That means those regions which were originally in the Mughal Empire, but the Peshwa but Chhatrapati was still able to take Chauth from there. These regions were also controlled by 5 to 7 more Subedars were there to handle this region. Maratha enclaves in the domain of the Mughals, subordinate officials are not known at this level, but they existed even back then. Okay, so this was the hierarchy on the various divisions. Now after this, the Subedars or Mukhya Deshmukhs were there, governors were there, they handled the things on the ground. Okay, then Daragadhar were there, and the local level they were Havaldars, local administration was involved with them, and at the very local level, that is the village level, okay, which was in the Maratha Empire called as Mauza. In the Mauza level, there were Patils, who were the revenue officers of the villages, and Vatandar, who were the officials and the village officers and the servants at the local level. So this was the whole hierarchy of the administration when the Chhatrapati Shivaji was at the helm of affairs. Okay, at the time of Chhatrapati Shivaji, the land revenue demand was 40%. Now this is usually more than what in the Mughal times it was. Mughal times usually it was 33% till 1675. After Aurangzeb started spending a lot more resources on continuous fighting, the demand of Mughal revenue were also increased to 43-44%. But usually it was 33% in the time of Akbar, Jahangir and Shah Jahan. Okay, so you have to keep in mind. But Mughal with the Shivaji it was 40%. Keep this thing in mind that whenever the king is ruling over an expansionist empire, is continuously trying to take over more and more and more and more territory, what he will do? He will demand for more tax. Because of this, his endeavors, his expansive endeavor will be needing more and more money. Okay, so that's it. Fine, let's move forward. Maratha Empire between 1680 and 1761. So I have told you everything between in the starting of the Maratha Empire until 1680. Now why 1680 is important? Because Shivaji passed away in 1680. Okay, Shivaji passed away in 1680, and that also because of his, it's not like someone killed him or something happened, natural causes, he passed away. Now in 1680 when Shivaji passed away, then there was an issue. Shivaji's son Sambhaji, who was actually for some time being in the Mughal jail, because Shivaji has escaped in 1666, Sambhaji was not able to, but Sambhaji was later on released from jail. So when he came back to the Maratha Empire, there was still some tussle between Shivaji and him, because his way of life was a bit different and he kind of preferred more Mughlai way of living, which was not acceptable to Shivaji. So there are some skirmishes, but that is not a part of our syllabus. Okay, but Shivaji was succeeded by Sambhaji, and what happened is Sambhaji ruled from 1680 onward till 1689. Somewhere around 1686, one son of Aurangzeb, his name was Akbar. Okay, so Akbar's not the original Akbar, but Aurangzeb also had a son, his name was Akbar, and this is again not in the book, but I am just telling you. His son was Akbar, and this Aurangzeb's son actually declared himself to be the Mughal Shahanshah and called for a war against his own father Aurangzeb. And under these circumstances, Aurangzeb said that whoever is supporting him, go and pick up those people. So although Aurangzeb's son was the one who started the fight, nothing much happened to him because he was the son of the Padshah. So he was picked up and jailed. But all those who were supporting him were actually handled very brutally. And one among them was Sambhaji. Sambhaji has given him space to live for very long. So you will see in 1689, Sambhaji was arrested and Aurangzeb ordered him to be hanged. Okay, he was hanged, and Sambhaji's wife and his son were taken as prisoner by the Mughals. Now this happened in what we now call as Aurangabad and nearby there only, and that's why you see that Aurangabad, which was named after Aurangzeb only, has now been renamed by the Maharashtra government as what? Sambhaji Nagar. Okay, because Sambhaji was a Maratha ruler who was killed by Aurangzeb. So now the name of or city which is on the name of Aurangzeb has now been renamed to the name of Sambhaji. Okay, so that historical perspective is understood. Now Aurangzeb has taken killed the Maratha Chhatrapati and actually has kidnapped or taken away his son and his wife both. So under these circumstances, what will happen? Raja Ram came into prominence. Okay, Raja Ram was the son of Sambhaji from another wife. So Raja Ram ruled till 1700. So Raja Ram was actually the other son of Shivaji, not Sambhaji is the wife. Or Raja Ram was the son of Shivaji only, but from the second wife of Shivaji. So then, since Sambhaji was not there, Raja Ram became the ruler. Now Raja Ram ruled till 1700 and was succeeded by his son Shivaji II. Okay, but when Rajaram passed away, okay, in 1700, Rajaram's son was very young, and therefore you will see that actual work on the ground was done by Tarabai, who was the widow. Okay, so this thing was going on. Aurangzeb was not really interested. He was like, whoever they are, I want the whole Maratha region. I don't want anyone there. But when Aurangzeb passed away in 1707, and this story I have taught again and again from the Mughal perspective. In 1707, Aurangzeb's son Bahadur Shah first came to power, and he was a more diplomatic guy. So what he did? Now they had Sahu in their captivity from 1689, almost 18 years now. So they released, Bahadur Shah released Sahu. Now what will happen? Understand this. Shivaji was Chhatrapati. Shivaji had two sons. The first son was Sambhaji. Okay, and Sambhaji had one son called as Sahu. Fine. Shivaji has another family, and from the second wife, Shivaji had a son. His name was Rajaram, and Rajaram had a son named Shivaji too. Fine. And Rajaram's wife was Tarabai. Fine. Understood this thing? देख लो एक बार इसको नहीं समझ में आ रहा. Fine. अब what happened now? I'll take another color. So Shivaji passed away. Sambhaji ruled 1689. He also was killed. Sahu was jailed. So the power was transferred into the hands of the other family, that is Rajaram. Rajaram ruled till 1700, and then Rajaram passed away in 1700, and the power ended up in hands of Tarabai. Shivaji II was a small kid. He was not capable enough to rule on his own. So the actual authority on the ground became Tarabai. Okay, but then the problem came in, because in 1707, Sahu was released from the jail and was allowed to go back to Maratha Empire. When Sahu ended up in Maratha Empire, obviously what will happen? Clash, a civil war. Sahu will say he should be the Chhatrapati, and Tarabai said that his son or her son Shivaji II should be the Chhatrapati. So there was a clash. The Marathas divided into two folds. Okay, one from Satara, another from Kolhapur. Okay, when the pressure was increased, Tarabai shifted to Kolhapur. Okay, and Satara fort was taken over by Shahu and his followers. Okay, now after this you will see that the Marathas dwelled into two folds. Okay, after this clash, one from Satara and another from Kolhapur. Okay, this was the division. Understood, everyone? Now let's move forward. So this happened. Sahu ultimately appointed the Peshwa, the sixth Peshwa. The Peshwa Shahi existed, as I have told you already. This Peshwa Shahi existed, but Peshwa Shahi was not that powerful. So Sahu appointed the Peshwa, and he became the sixth Peshwa. His name was sixth Peshwa. His name was Balaji Vishwanath. Okay, officially he was the sixth Peshwa, but was the first time when he became the Peshwa in 1730. After this, the power of Peshwa Shahi increased. There are two reasons for this also. Look, it was only after 1712 that the authority of Mughals declined, because even till Bahadur Shah first was in power, Marathas were okay. Mughals were doing fine only. It was after Bahadur Shah first, when Jahandar Shah came into power in 1712, he needed allies, and so Zulfikar Khan reached an arrangement with the Marathas. And then Farrukh Shiar, when came into power in 1713, he also needed allies to maintain himself in power, and so he also looked to a Maratha for some kind of alignment. And at this time, Farrukh Shiar's, Mughal Shahanshah Farrukh Shiar's Prime Minister, his Wazir, and his Finance Minister, Sayyid brothers, combinedly reached the understanding with the Maratha Peshwa Balaji Vishwanath. Okay, this is the first big Maratha Mughal understanding which was reached at the time officially under the Farrukh Shiar's rule, and this is what is considered to be the Magna Carta for the Maratha Empire. Why? I'll come to this. That Peshwa Balaji Vishwanath came to power in 1713. He signed an understanding with the Mughals. Sahu was accepted as the Chhatrapati. Okay, now understand this thing. So I have explained you till this point that two sections of the Mughals and two sections of the Marathas were evolved till here, Satara and Kolhapur. Okay, they had confusion in between. So at this time, Peshwa also needed alignment with the Mughals, because Peshwa was the Peshwa of Satara, that is Sahu. The Peshwa of Sahu, he needed alignment so that his claim can be finalized. Okay, so he reached an understanding with the Mughals, and Mughals had their own reasons because they were looking for allies. So both sides needed each other, and under this situation, a Mughal Maratha alliance was finalized. What was the terms of these Mughal Maratha alliance? First of all, Marathas will have Sahu as Chhatrapati. Okay, Maratha has Sahu as Chhatrapati. So this was accepted even by Mughals, that Maratha Chhatrapati will be Sahu. Okay, but it was also stated that Sahu will make sure that the Tarabai and his son who are living in Kolhapur should not be further depreciated or exploited, or nothing should be done. So Kolhapur shouldn't be persecuted. The Tarabai in Kolhapur shouldn't be persecuted. Fine. And once this is done, then the other side, the Mughals told them that the Marathas will come, Marathas will support Mughal authority and help them in maintaining the stability. And in return for this, Marathas were allowed to tax 6 of the Mughal Deccan provinces. Okay. So Marathas will be allowed to tax 6 of the Mughal Deccan provinces. In the Deccan region, there are 6 Mughal provinces. The Marathas will be allowed to take Chauth and Sardesh Mukhi from these 6 Mughal provinces. Fine. This was the understanding reached. Now, come back. Okay. So this is the accepted as Chhatrapati is later, and the other things were done. Now understand this thing after this, that fine. If you have been given the, okay, you have been allowed that, okay, fine, go, tum tax le lena bhai, jao. But taking tax is not easy, na? Okay, Mughal Badshah has told you, okay, fine, I'll let you take tax from the Deccan region. So अब क्या होगा? Deccan के सारे लोग जाके मराठास को टैक्स दे देंगे. It is not that easy, ना? अभी गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया हमसे टैक्स लेके दिखा दे, वो भी अपने आप में एक कला है. ठीक है? So, but how you will say, what they will do? Okay, so that will again become an issue. So Marathas now had to come up with the whole concept so that they can evolve a taxation regime in these Mughal areas without influencing too much, because effectively they were still part of Mughal Empire, but they also have to tax these regions. Okay, so they came up with a new system called as Saranjani system. And very ध्यान से, ठीक है, बहुत ध्यान से पढ़ना है इसको. Saranjani system. Understand? These are small things which are mentioned in your NCERTs and will be asked in the examination. And then you will say कि ये क्या पूछा है? Saranjani system. Now, what is this Saranjani system? So, this Saranjani system was first evolved during the Chhatrapati Raja Ram's period. Okay, Saranjani system was first evolved in Chhatrapati Raja Ram's period, although it was not used too much by him. Okay, it was not used too much by him, and the reason is again simple, because he didn't had too many things to where he can use it. But then with the coming of Balaji Vishwanath and the signing of this understanding with the Mughals, Saranjani system could be used. So ऐसा क्या था Saranjani system में? What was there in the Saranjani system? Understand now. Saranjani system talked about that, look, suppose this is the map, fine. This area is Mughals, suppose, and suppose in this region, this much area is allowed from where the this area is allowed from where the Marathas can take Chauth and Sardeshmukhi. But who will collect this Chauth and Sardeshmukhi? Someone has to go to collect this Chauth and Sardeshmukhi. How will they do it? They have to develop an alternative system to do that. Okay, so for this work they needed new officers. And who will be these new officers? So all the Maratha Sardars, Maratha generals who had performed excellent till that time on the war field, okay, they were at this time by Balaji Vishwanath given the opportunity that they will be allotted regions where they will go and they will start developing a new Diwani system of tax collection over there. Okay, and you will see that at this time there will be rise of new Maratha Sardars. Okay, and who will be these Maratha Sardars? Sardars like Sindhyas. Okay, Sardars like Gaikwads. Okay, Sardars like Holkars. Okay, Sardars like Pawar. Okay, not P-A-W-A-R, P-U-P-A-U-A-R, Pawar. Okay, there were others also. Okay, so there were in total 12 different Sardars who were given the opportunity at this time, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 12. But you will see that this is very interesting because this was a totally new system which was not accepted for to be evolving at any time in this period. Fine, let's move forward. Sindhyas, Gaikwad, Holkars, Pawars. Okay, there were others too, not only this, I am just mentioning there was 12 Sardars who evolved. You might have heard about the term Maratha Confederacy. Maratha Confederacy. That Maratha Confederacy is because of this only. Okay, so this system actually allowed or provided space for the growth of Maratha Empire and also for growth of these Maratha Sardars. These Maratha Sardars will play a very vital role after 1760. In the second half of the Maratha story, they will play a very vital role. At this time, so anyway, they were following the orders of Balaji Vishwanath, the Peshwa. Okay, so but Saranjani system समझ में आ गया everyone. Okay, Saranjani system was a revenue collection system in which the well-performing Maratha Sardars were given the responsibility to collect tax, to collect Chauth from the Mughal area, Mughal regions in Deccan. Okay, so this is the Saranjani system. Now, So in 1719, Saranjani system was properly executed, and that's why it isn't properly executed, because Saranjani system was a device which was already there in the Maratha books. देखो ये, this is something which will be asked in the examination, that when was Saranjani system introduced first, and you'll like Balaji Vishwanath, हमें तो आता है नहीं. It was first introduced by Raja Ram. It was well executed by Balaji Vishwanath. Okay, so keep that thing in mind. Now between 1720 and 1740, Bajirao, okay, Bajirao, the great Bajirao Mastani wale, expanded the Maratha authority in central India. Okay, नहीं याद है, नहीं confusion हो रहा है थोड़ा सा, तो मैं यहाँ पे बता देता हूँ. Okay, I think there is a hierarchy. Hierarchy is not here. Okay, I'll tell you this. देखो, Balaji Vishwanath's son was Bajirao. Okay, Bajirao's son was Bajirao. Okay, and that's how the whole thing proceeded. So in a way you see that after Balaji Vishwanath, even the Marathas became hereditary Subedari only. Okay, so understand this thing, that Bajirao came in power after the demise of his father Balaji Vishwanath. Sahu was still there. Bajirao came to power. Bajirao was very young. Bajirao was 20 years old when he came to power in 1720. And this new chap, Bajirao, was an excellent general. But along with that, he also has a very shrewd mind and had this great plans for the Maratha Empire. He had this great plan for Maratha Empire. And what he did is, he expanded Maratha empires northwards. You might have heard about this word. Bharat क्या है? Bharat है कटक से अटक तक. Okay, this कटक से अटक तक idea was first propounded by Bajirao only. Okay, where is Atak? Atak is in Pakistan right now. Where is Katak? It's in Odisha. Okay, so when he was sitting in Pune, he saw the India and he wanted to expand Maratha Empire from the Katak to the Atak. Okay, Atak it's not called now, it's called as Atok. Okay, Atok in the Mughal times was the northwest frontier of Akbar at a time. There is a very famous fort in Atok which was made by Akbar. So he came up with this idea of expanding Maratha Empire. He also came up with this idea of declaring Maratha Empire to be the empire of the Hindus. This whole idea of religious symmetry, connectivity was also propounded first by Bajirao only. So that is something which is important. Now 1740 to 1761, Balaji Bajirao, his son, he expanded for 20 years between 1720 and 1740. Another one thing which is not mentioned in your NCERT, but let me tell you here, is the expansion of Marathas in the what we now called as the Madhya Bharat. Okay, what we now called as the Madhya Bharat, the central India. Madhya Bharat. You might have heard about Raja Chhatrasal. Okay, Chhatrasal of Bundelkhand. Okay, so he was finding it difficult to maintain his authority in Bundelkhand because the Mughal Subedar of Allahabad was very much interested to take over his region, and then he asked for help from Bajirao, and Bajirao came to help him. Bajirao not only came to help him, but in 1728 he helped Chhatrasal to maintain his authority, and that's where, after which, Bajirao also married the daughter of Chhatrasal, who is famously called as the Bajirao Mastani. The whole movie comes from there. So याद रखना, movie बता दूंगा ना तो याद रहेगा. I know this, so that's why I'm telling you this. Now Balaji Bajirao, he expanded further, and in 1752, and Bajirao's son Balaji Bajirao further expanded the empire. Not only he expanded it so much so that the Maratha influence went up to Punjab. In 1752, you will see a treaty was again signed with the Mughal Wazir and the Marathas. And this treaty assured, because at this time Mughals were facing continuously raid from Afghans, and so it was decided at this treaty that Marathas will come with 15,000 cavalrymen if a attack comes from the northwest. Okay. Again, at this point, Marathas were given in return the Chauth of Sindh, Ajmer and Agra, and this is something which the king himself didn't like, and Mughal king himself didn't like. So there was already a crisis between the Wazir and the Mughal king. But anyway, the agreement was signed in 1752. Now this agreement only led to the entry of Marathas when Ahmad Shah Abdali finally attacked in 1761. Now there is another scholarly statement which says that Marathas had decided that if they would have won the Battle of Panipat in 1761, they would have appointed Vishwas Rao, the son of Balaji Bajirao, as not only the next Peshwa but Badshah-e Hindustan on the Delhi's fort. But they lost it, and Vishwas Rao was also killed in the third battle of Panipat. So that plan actually failed, and when the Marathas went back, whoever was able to reach back to Pune, and Balaji Bajirao was informed about the battle of Panipat's loss, he had a heart attack and he passed away. There was a whole period of subjugation, and the Marathas actually went back into Madhya Bharat right from taking the areas of Punjab. So that is all what happened between 1680 and 1761. Few of the things about before coming to the Peshwa administration, let me tell you one thing which is not there, and it is about Battle of Panipat. ठीक है, बहुत ज़्यादा आपके सिलेबस में नहीं है, but I think you should know this thing, otherwise you will continuously get confused. So we'll just explain this thing and then we will end the session, okay, right there. Or it will be better yeah, so we will finish off that section and then we'll end the session. Okay, so understand this thing, this is important. What happened with over here? Over here we need to understand Battle of Panipat, and let me explain this Battle of Panipat to you guys. Okay, third battle that also, okay, that happened in 1761. So what happened here? Understand, suppose this is your Delhi, this is your Pune, and this is your Kandhar. Okay, so Ahmad Shah Abdali came from here and Marathas came from here. Battle had to take place somewhere here. Okay? But the battle is not that simple. ऐसा नहीं है बस आया और लड़ाई होगी. I have already told you it was because of the Treaty of Jhalki. Okay, Treaty of Jhalki, which played a very important role. Treaty of Jhalki 1752, and that is because of this treaty only Marathas came from Pune to help Delhi. But whether Delhi really wanted to be held or not, that itself is the issue. Okay, whether Delhi really wanted to be held, that itself is the issue. People are confused on that point, that whether Delhi wanted to be held or not, because the ruler in Delhi at this time was Shah Alam II. Shah Alam II's daughter was actually married to Ahmad Shah Abdali's son, and Ahmad Shah Abdali, okay, as per Treaty of Jhalki, Marathas were allowed to hoist their flag on Atok. The very idea that Bajirao first has in mind, that we'll have the area between Atok and Cuttack. But Atok was in Punjab. So Ahmad Shah Abdali always considered Punjab to be in his area of influence, and he has given his son Taimur to become the Subedar of Punjab after the marriage with Shah Alam's daughter, and those story is different. Now, when Marathas appointed a Subedar from their side, a Maratha Sardar, a Sindhia Sardar, to be the Subedar stationed in Atok to control Punjab and collect chauth from Punjab. This was unacceptable to Ahmad Shah Abdali. So that also played a very important role. Okay, we'll be looking into Battle of Panipat in a totally separate section, but you need to understand this thing, and this is very essential. Okay, so the reason why Ahmad Shah Abdali and Ahmad Shah Abdali fought Battle of Panipat with Marathas is very different. It is not as simple as people think it most of the time. कि ऐसे दो लाइन बना दो, okay, and we will say it like this कि Marathas और Mughals एक साथ थे, और on the other side there was Afghans, and at the last moment अवध के नवाब जो थे वो भी अफगान्स की तरफ चले गए थे, and then वहां पे साथ में there were Rohilla Afghans also supported them, and so they won. ठीक है, it's not that simple. Okay, nothing is simple when it comes to war and peace. Always remember this. And you people are preparing for UPSC and not writing the 6th standard exam. So थोड़ा सा ठीक है आइडिया होना चाहिए चीजों का. So this thing you have to keep in mind that this is rubbish. This is not as simple. Okay, this is not how you should know things. Okay, I will cover this Battle of Panipat separately. I'll show you the diagrams. I'll tell you the exact causes and what really impact happened in a separate session. But that has to be kept in mind that this is not how it has to be done. Okay, fine. So let's move forward. I'll tell you the administration part and then we will move. So let's move to the administration of Peshwa Shahi. This is small things are written here. You will not be able to write down everything from here. So we will not try to do anything like that. But instead of this, I'll just tell you that this is the idea of Maratha Empire and the Peshwas. When the Chhatrapati was not that powerful, when the Peshwas started regulating the affairs on the ground. Okay, so you will see even in this map or in this diagram, Chhatrapati is there. Okay, Chhatrapati, he was a nominal king, actual Raja of Satara, and the real power was in there were other people, Peshwa. Okay, so the real power was in the hands of the Peshwa, who was the prime minister, actual head of the confederacy. Now what is this confederacy? I have told you because of this Saranjani system that very many new Sardars have now come into picture. This Sindhyas in the north, Gaikwad in Gujarat, okay, these people were actually Holkars in Indore. These people were actually holding the nerve of the state. Marathas were not single-handedly ruled by Chhatrapati now. Okay, it was ruled by this confederation of people who are the Maratha Sardars. Okay, who are the principal Sardars? Okay, in the league with the Peshwa, they were the Bhosles who were in Nagpur, Gaikwads who were in Gujarat, Holkar in Indore, Sindhya was established themselves in Gwalior. Okay, there were other also, there were many other, and each one of them had a diwan, that is a finance minister of their own. Okay, they were beyond this, there were Sar Subedar, divisional governors who then directly reported to the Peshwa. Okay, and these Sindhya and Holkars, divisional and lower administration was handled by more or less parallel to shown by the Peshwa, because Sindhyas and Holkars were just too powerful. And why I'm mentioning about Sindhyas and Holkars being too powerful, we'll talk about it in the second section when we'll be talking about the second Anglo-Maratha war. I'll tell you why I'm saying that Sindhyas and Holkars are just too powerful, and they were up to the rank of Peshwa only. Okay, and there was a slight variation, and then later on they will become even more important than Peshwas. Now, understood this much part? Now, after this, you will see that there are other officers on the lower level, the Sar Suba level, the Suba level, the Pargana level, and the Moza level at the village level. And this is the hierarchy which you can compare with the hierarchy of the Chhatrapati's times administration, and this is all what you need to remember. Okay, nothing more than that. Right, let's move forward. So this was a map of Mughals in 1751. Okay, this is a map of Mughals. This is a map of India in 1751, and you can see that this whole yellow region is called as Maratha Confederacy. This is immediately before the Treaty of Jhalki, and you can see up to what extent the Marathas controlled area. Okay, So you can see the area which was controlled by Marathas before the Treaty of Jhalki, okay, in 1751. Beyond this, then comes the third battle of Panipat I was telling you about, that we'll be discussing this thing in much more detail. And this is something I was trying to explain, that the helm of affairs during this whole time was in hands of Sadashiv Rao Bhau. Okay, he was the Senapati on the ground of the Marathas, and the battle took place. Okay, those who supported Ahmad Shah Abdali, who was the ruler, the first ruler of Afghanistan. Even now he is called as Babai Afghanistan. Okay, because he is the founding father of the present day Afghanistan. Okay, Suja Ud-Daula, who was the Nawab of Awadh. Okay, at the last moment he converted sides and shifted on the side of Ahmad Shah Abdali. Okay, Najib Ud-Daula, who was a Rohilla Afghans, and he was stationed. He has shifted sides already and has stationed himself on the side of Ahmad Shah Abdali from 1756 onwards itself. Okay, so this is the area. This is the region I was telling you, that this region is something which Ahmad Shah Abdali considered to be his area of influence, and that's why he appointed his son Taimur as the Subedar of Punjab. And this is also the area where the Marathas now claimed, after Treaty of Jhalki, they claimed their authority to be. Okay, and they asked it, demanded Chauth, okay, and Sardeshmukhi. Now, one of the questions which all the students again and again ask me, and I'll come to this, okay, causes and consequences. Ye main kara dunga, don't worry. Come to this, understand this. One of the important question which students again and again ask me is something like, sir, why the Rajputs and the Sikh didn't supported the Marathas? Because people now have this conceptualization that we have India as such. So Marathas were Indian, the Marathi people are Indian people, the Rajput people are Indian people, the Sikh people are Indian people. So why they aligned, they didn't help the Marathi people while fighting the outsiders, that are the Afghans. So first of all, we need to understand this whole idea of present day India was not there back in the day. Okay, was not there back in the day. And under these circumstances, the Rajputana people, the Sikh, these were also very much terrified and frustrated by the ways and things which were done by the Marathas. Look, Marathas have in the past demanded Chauth and Sardeshmukhi from the Rajputana region and the Sikh region. Marathas have in the past invaded and looted the regions in this area also. So people in Rajputana, people in the Sikh missiles didn't had any kind of sympathy for the cause of Marathas. So when the third battle of Panipat happened, okay, the Rajputanas, the Sikh who had already in 1750s once have kicked back Ahmad Shah Abdali, this time were like, okay, fine, if you want to fight Marathas, we don't have anything to do with them. Okay, so that thing you have to keep in mind. Okay, now let's come to the basic thing, and this is how in the examination things will be asked. That, Haji, Battle of Panipat ho gayi, third Battle of Panipat. Tell us the causes and the consequences. What were the political reasons? What were the economic reasons? What was the prelude conditions of before the third Battle of Panipat? What was the triggering cause of Battle of Panipat? Okay, what was the political outcome? What was the economic outcome? This will be asked. This is something which you have to know. Okay, so let's go through it. Let's do that thing, which is very essential for you. So what are the preluding conditions? After the Mughal Emperor Shah Alam II came into power in 1759, the real authority on the ground was the Marathas as per the Mughal Maratha Security Agreement 1752, that is Treaty of Jhalki. Okay. Now, what was the triggering cause what triggered the whole thing? The Maratha presence in Punjab was unacceptable to Ahmad Shah Abdali, who had appointed his son Taimur Shah as the Subedar of Punjab. I've just explained this thing, so you don't have to do it again. Okay, what I have just told you is written here. This was a triggering reason which finally shot the bullet. Now, political causes of third battle of Panipat. Okay, political causes of third battle of Panipat. Territorial struggle between the Marathas and the Afghans. Okay, what are the political causes? Just I explained you the triggering reason. That is what? That is the territorial struggle between the Marathas and the Afghans. Mughal and Maratha Security Pact of 1752. This was again, Afghans saw it as a misalignment of the authority of Mughal Shahanshah. Then aspirations of the Rohilla Afghans and the Nawab of Awadh, That is also important because I just told you that switch side very easily. Okay. Then neutrality of the Sikh and the Rajputana. This I just again explained you few minutes back. Okay. So these are the reasons which you need to remember and will be done easily. Okay. Let's move forward. Economic causes of the third battle of Panipat. Mughal ruler was fiscally incapable to control northwest, and he was happy to give it to anyone as long as he was officially declared as the ruler. Whether it was Maratha or the Taimur Shah, he had no issue. As long as he was allowed, khutbah unke naam ka pad do, baki he had nothing to do. Just accept that he is the sovereign and then do whatever the hell you want. He was happy with it. Okay, and that's why this whole thing happened. Marathas were charging Chauth and Sardesh Mukhi on Punjab and Rajputana, but this is one of also economic cause because the people in Punjab, it was not like people in Punjab and Rajputana really liked Maratha. You need to understand, even in 1760, once Marathas actually attacked Delhi city also. They did that also. They attacked Delhi city. When they attacked Delhi city, that itself became an issue. Okay, they invaded Delhi city and tried to take as much money as they can from Delhi. Okay, that was also an issue. The people in Delhi also didn't like Maratha. Okay, so that is something. Then Durrani raids were essential to maintain finances of Afghan empire. Now this is one of the major cause of the other side. This is very similar to what we have explained and discussed in the case of Nadir Shah. That one of the major reasons for Nadir Shah attacking was the dilapidated state of the Persian Empire. And he had not attacked and brought in money from India, he would not have sustained himself in the power. Okay, this is also true when it came to Ahmad Shah Abdali. These continuous invasions of Ahmad Shah Abdali from 1748 till 1768 was not because he was having fun. It was that his state was not capable enough to have, they didn't have sources, that internal sources to generate wealth, and they needed to do it to maintain their fiscal authority. Okay. So these can be mentioned as the economic causes of third battle of Panipat easily. Now the political consequences of the third battle of Panipat. Maratha expansion stopped and reversed. Okay, what are the political consequences? So Marathas were expanding at a pleasing light. If 21st and 20th century की बात होती तो we would have called that Marathas were on a blitzkrieg. Okay, जैसा German में कहते हैं. But what happened? This particular battle, losses this particular battle pushed Marathas almost a decade back. Imagine to yourself that how bad it would have been, because the Maratha Peshwa's son died on the battleground. Maratha Peshwa himself had a heart attack. Leave about the people they lost, the wealth they lost. So what was going to happen? So immediately the region of Punjab, leave out Punjab, but in region just below till Chhatrasal and nearby region was also lost from the control of Maratha. You know about Jhansi, that Jhansi's control was also gone, because in Jhansi there was a Maratha family who were fiduciary over there. So they also lost the region from their control. It was only after Britishers came that they were re-given the authority to rule Jhansi. So Maratha expansion stopped and reversed. Afghan presence increased in Delhi through Rohilla Afghans. Smaller powers like Bharatpur rose up again. When I was telling you about Bharatpur in the second chapter, in the third lecture series point, I was explaining you about that how Bharatpur saw the rise of itself maximum in the time in 1740s and 50s at the time of Surajmal. Even after the 1760s, when the Mughals again, because not only Marathas lost, but Mughals also lost. Okay, so there was again a power void, and this Bharatpur, the Jats of Bharatpur again used it to enrich themselves by raiding Delhi in these times also. Okay, so that happened. Maratha laws created political void in which helped the British to group. Okay, yep, that's true. Because on one side, in 1761, while the Marathas were losing, okay, in 1757 and in whole of 1750s, Britishers were winning. once for some time period on the Coromandel coast, and then in Bengal, while Marathas were losing, the British were winning. So the void which was created by Marathas, Mughals tried to fill it up by realigning with the Awadh and the Bengal Suba, but Battle of Buxar happened in 1764, which famously established it once and for all that Britishers are there to stay. So Maratha laws created political void which helped British to grow. Okay, this much is done. Let's move forward. Economic consequences of the third battle of Panipat. Okay, Delhi lost more wealth. Already in 1739, we have told this thing that look, in 1712, at the time of death of demise of Bahadur Shah first, Delhi didn't even had a 1 crore rupee coffer in the Mughal Toshkhana. It is also famously stated that in 1739, Nadir Shah looted Delhi for a worth of more than 70 crore rupees. In 1761, Ahmad Shah Abdali's people again looted Delhi. And after that, again and again, small, whether it was Bharatpur or Rohilla Afghans, everyone kept on looting Delhi. And Delhi lost more wealth and nothing else. Marathas faced huge economic loss. Okay. Abdali received tributes, Awadh, Rohillas and from Abdali received tributes from Awadh, Rohilla Afghans, Awadh and Marathas. Okay, so everyone started paying tributes to Abdali, and that further reduced the money which Indians had in total. So it had an economic impact. Now, reasons for the Maratha loss, this is also very important. Why they lost? And I have told you, you know this. It's not like I'm telling you something new now. But what happened in the examination hall, sometimes this compartmentalization is, if not done in advance, you are not able to figure it out. So why the Marathas lost? First of all, they didn't have any good relations. They didn't paid any allies in the north because they were on a winning spree. They just forgot that we also need allies because there might be a time we will not be doing that good. So Marathas lagged. Okay, other Hindu rulers never supported Marathas, whether it was Rajputanas or Jats, whether it was Rajputana or Jats, or not only Hindu rulers, even the Sikh, no one supported Marathas. Okay, then Marathas were very good when it came to fighting in the Deccan, in the forest, in the hilly terrains. They were excellent fighters, but they still were not having a very good grasp on fighting in the fields, the open areas, the running on the horses, जो गुस्ताखी खेल के अफगान्स को आती है. Okay, so fighting Afghan foes, it was very difficult for them. So Marathas lacked proficiency in the field battle. Okay, Marathas Sardars in fighting. I told you about these Maratha Sardars, whether it was Sindhya, Holkars, Gaikwads. Okay, they have their own issues also. Sindhyas and Holkars throughout were trying that how could they can become more important than the Peshwa himself. So that if they are trying that continuously, okay, so Maratha Sardars in fighting was going on. Marathas lacked logistic support. This is also very important. Look, understand that Marathas, when they came to fight to Panipat, it was more of a party. Almost 2 lakh people came from Pune. Okay, some people thought that okay, we are going to north, so let's go, we'll fight, and after the fight we will also go to Kailash. Okay, so this is the way in which they came. They also bring their families, their wives, their kids and everyone. Okay, so when so many people are moving together, you need more ration, you need more rasad, you need more logistics, and moving that much logistics was very difficult. And Afghans never came like this. Afghans were on their horses, they were raiders, they were just picking up people, killing and going back. They were a bunch of hoarders. So there was a huge difference between the way Afghans handled the situation and way Marathas were handling the situation. Okay, so logistical support for them was very difficult to attain, and this has also played a very important role. Okay, the big scholars, all the important scholars says that the biggest reason for the loss of third battle of Panipat for the Marathas were not as much as their fighting skill, because when it came to hand combat, they were good only. The problem was the continuous logistical support which was not available to them. Okay, always remember that Afghans had the logistical force. Okay, and another thing you need to understand, when the fight was happening, look, whenever we talk about the Maratha and Panipat battle, people think because the terrain is such, people think, okay, this is Panipat. Okay, so Marathas must have come from this side, and okay, use another color. Marathas must have come from this side, and Afghans must have come from this side, and this is the Afghans, and this is Marathas. Everyone thinks this is how it must have happened, but no, this is not how it happened. Okay, this is totally not how it happened. It happened in a totally different manner. Okay, so basically this whole idea which I just told you is wrong. Okay, the real thing happened like this. This is your Panipat. Okay, Afghans came from here, they went here, and then they came like this, and then Marathas came here, went here, came like this, and then fought like this, and this is where the battle took place. Understood something? This is how the battle took. So when it came to logistics, okay, Marathas needed logistical support from Rajputana, from Punjab, and from the Jat, where no one was ready to give them logistics. And Afghans needed logistics from Rohilkhand and Awadh, and both were giving them logistics. Okay, and that's how the Afghans won. समझ में आई बात? तो don't just think geographically, ये भी थोड़ा सोच लिया करें कि हिस्ट्री में एक्चुअली उस टाइम पे क्या हुआ था. Okay, so keep this thing in mind. Let's move forward. This is done. Okay, fine. So half of the section is done. Now we have to move on the second section. The after 1761, what happened with the Marathas? Okay, so we'll talk about Anglo-Maratha wars, the first Anglo, second Anglo, third Anglo-Maratha war, the treaties and everything else, just as we do usually. But for those students who find it a bit difficult, I'll do it in a single go. I'll tell you exactly what you need to do and what you can skip. We'll tell you the important information if you can work it out that way, or then we'll move in the story section and other pointers. Okay, so that is how we are going to move, but that will be in the next session. We will end immediately here. Okay, so I hope this must have understandable, and let's end the session here. Thanks.